was tired of being the nice guy. I didn't start lifting weights to get stronger. I started because I was tired of feeling worthless, invisible. I was always the quiet kid, the one teachers described as sweet, the one girls described as like a brother. In high school, girls copied my homework. "You're the sweetest," they'd say. I carried their books, listened to their problems, defended them when other guys talked badly. I later found out they had saved my number in their phone as homework. I still told myself that loyalty mattered, and eventually people would acknowledge me for my kindness. But when they laughed at my jokes, it wasn't the same laugh they gave the taller guys, the popular guys. When they touched my arm, it wasn't desire, it was convenience. I was safe, harmless, useful. And to the other guys, that made me pray. There was one guy in particular who set it all in motion. He just looked at you a certain way, and everyone else adjusted accordingly. If he moved you out of a seat, it became acceptable. If he pressed you against a locker, it became funny. If he called you something, it became your name. Once, in the bathroom, he forced my chin up against the mirror. "Look at you," he said calmly. Pathetic. Everyone laughed. I learned then that you don't need strength to control a room. You just need everyone else to believe that you're allowed to. The others followed his lead. They always did, terrorizing me any chance they got. It's still difficult for me to speak about the nightmares I endured during my time there. I don't remember when I stopped wanting to be liked. I just remember the night I decided I was tired of existing like that. It's been several years since then. The world got bigger. I got older. But the feeling of being small stayed exactly the same. So I started looking for ways to change that. It started with videos, late at night. Men speaking calmly about power, about hierarchy, about how the world was simple if you understood female nature. "Women are hypergamous," one of them said. They chase power, status, wealth. Stop being nice. Become alpha. The word alpha tasted sharp in my mouth, like something metallic, like blood. They said I wasn't invisible. I was just low value. And low value could be fixed. Fix the body. Fix the posture. Fix the voice. Fix the weakness. I deleted photos where I looked soft. I stopped smiling in public. I practiced eye contact in the mirror until my reflection looked uncomfortable. I joined a gym that smelled like iron and aggression. The first day, I could barely bench the bar. I was watching men who looked carved out of stone. They moved through the world differently. Space parted for them. People noticed. I wanted that gravity, so I began working out obsessively. The same discipline I once used to study for exams, I now applied to learning how to engineer my own biology. I was getting stronger, sharper, and far less easier to control. The forum said transformation required sacrifice. Someone messaged me privately, said there were shortcuts. He said real alphas didn't wait for genetics. I told myself it was just acceleration, optimizing, just becoming what I was meant to be. But the next few months, I felt electric, like my skin was too tight for my body, like something inside me was expanding. My voice deepened, or maybe I forced it lower. I couldn't tell anymore. I stopped saying please. I stopped apologizing when someone bumped into me. I stopped laughing at jokes that weren't funny. Women started looking at me, not warmly, but cautiously. I took that as attraction. I went on a date with a girl from work. She used to ignore me in meetings. Now she agreed to dinner. The videos told me to lead, to dominate the frame, to never ask, only suggest. Confidence meant certainty, and women followed certainty. That's what they said. She kept glancing towards the exit, checking her phone, smiling tightly when I leaned closer, testing me. They always tested you to see if you'd fold. I didn't fold. I held eye contact longer than what felt natural. Silence was power. Let her fill it. Let her chase approval. When the waiter came, she ordered something small, a salad, another sign. Women didn't eat much around men that they wanted. That's what I'd learned. Halfway through dinner, she said, I actually have to leave early. I forgot I had something tonight. Her voice was careful, apologetic, avoidant, a classic withdrawal tactic. They warned me about this. Women pulled away when they sensed weakness. I had to reassert control. I smiled, calmly. That's fine, I said. But I'm not paying if you're leaving early. She blinked, confused. Investments have to be earned, I said. Her smile disappeared completely now. I noticed how still she became. Like prey, deciding whether to run. I just don't want there to be expectations, she said. Expectations. Another test. I nodded knowingly. Right, I said, because nowadays, women want all the benefits without the accountability. And let's be honest, if you weren't interested, you wouldn't be here. I don't believe in wasting time, I added. I'm not here to play games. I leaned forward and held her gaze longer than necessary. I wanted her to feel my presence. I wanted her to feel small. And that's when it happened. I caught my reflection in her eyes. Broad shoulders, sharp jaw, eyes that didn't blink. I didn't just look powerful. I looked predatory. She stood up fast. Her eyes scraped sharply against the floor. She reached into her purse and pulled out more than enough cash to cover the bill. She said goodnight without even meeting my eyes. I didn't feel rejected. I felt satisfied, and that scared me. I walked home, replaying the night. Not our conversation, just the way her breathing changed when I didn't look away. The way she went still when she realized I wasn't joking anymore. I liked that part. The forum said that women test you, that discomfort meant desire, that fear is respect. I repeated that in my head. Months had passed. My muscles grew larger. My temper shortened. Small men started catching my attention, the ones with nervous posture, avoidant eyes, apologetic tone. I recognized them immediately because I used to be one of them. Small inconveniences felt like personal attacks. Slow drivers, late replies, eye contact that lasted too long. One night, someone cut me off in traffic. My chest tightened instantly. Heat flooded my face. I followed him. Too closely. Too fast. He signaled to turn into the parking lot. I turned too. He parked, and I parked behind him, blocking his exit. He stepped out first. He looked younger than me, and much smaller. He raised his hands slightly, not aggressively, just confused. "Sorry, man," he said. "I didn't see you." I walked towards him slowly. I could feel my heartbeat in my throat. I could feel how large I'd become. He kept stepping back. His voice shook when he apologized again. I realized something then. He wasn't challenging me. He wasn't disrespecting me. He was afraid of me. And instead of calming down, I felt powerful. The same satisfaction from the restaurant. The same tightening in my chest. The same hunger. I saw my reflection in his windshield. Not invisible. Not overlooked. But monstrous. My jaw was clenched so hard that it looked unnatural. My eyes were wide. Too wide. He wasn't the threat. I was. For a split second, I imagined grabbing him, smashing his skull onto the hood of his Honda Civic, just to prove that I could, just to feel the difference in strength. The thought didn't disgust me. It excited me. That's when I understood the transformation was complete. I didn't just become alpha. I became something else. Something that fed on fear and intimidation. Something with an appetite for control. He got back into his car when I finally stepped aside. He drove away quickly, and I stood there alone in the parking lot, breathing heavily, waiting for guilt, but it didn't come. Instead, there was a quiet voice in my head, calm, satisfied. It said, "You're not invisible anymore." I looked at my reflection in the dark window of a closed door. I couldn't recognize myself, and that was the best part. I tried to remember what it felt like to be kind, to be nervous, to be soft. I couldn't. The shy boy who used to disappear in the crowd, now replaced by someone who makes others want to disappear instead. I thought I was becoming a man. No one tells you the price you have to pay for that. You don't grow into it. You hollow yourself out for it. Strength isn't something you gain. It's something that you uncover after you've removed everything that made you hesitate. Your doubts, insecurities, your fears. All I had now was my anger and adrenaline pumping through my veins. You don't outrun the past by driving faster. Sometimes the only way forward is to turn around, where it all began, where you first learned to shrink. And for me, that was a hallway, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, lockers dented from fists that weren't mine, his hands clenching the collar of my shirt, his breath close enough to feel. The laughter wasn't loud. It was casual, like I deserved it, like I was built for it. And that night, I wanted to see what he was built for, so I drove to his house. This felt necessary. Completion. The grand finale. He lived in a quiet neighborhood now. 2-car garage, warm porch light, a bicycle tipped on its side in the yard. The kind of life that suggests stability. He opened the door after the second knock. Recognition flickered slowly. Then came the smile. Careful, measured. "Hey," he said, like we were men meeting as equals. Behind him, I saw a framed family photo. A wife, 2 kids. He had gone soft, thicker around the waist, thinner in the hair, much smaller than memory. He invited me in. That surprised me. People underestimate what they had forgotten. We sat in his living room. He talked about work, about kids being kids, about how everyone grows up. Kids being kids. That phrase again. as if cruelty dissolves with age, as if humiliation expires. My chest tightened. Years of swallowed anger, now rising like something long buried. He laughed once, the same laugh, softer now, but unmistakable. Something snapped, not loud, just internally. I stood up. He did too. He tried to calm me down, tried to minimize the past, tried to shrink me to his will, as he always did. But when I looked into his eyes, he knew something was different. He took a step back, the same step that I used to take. The symmetry felt perfect. This was therapy, seeing the fear surface slowly, not explosive, just spreading the way it used to spread through me. Only now, it wasn't mine. There was a brief flicker in his eyes, the exact second he realized this wasn't rage, it was pleasure, and it came naturally. His wife stepped into the room, concern in her voice. She saw my face and stopped mid-sentence. I moved forward. He stepped back further, cornering himself against the wall. He looked at me for a long moment. "You're still doing it." "Doing what?" I asked, trying to prove something. His voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. "You built your whole life around this?" The words didn't sound mocking. They sounded confused. "I haven't thought about you in years." That landed harder than anything else. He stepped slightly to the side, not retreating, just steady. "You think this is power?" He gestured vaguely between us. "You drove here. You're still carrying it." His eyes didn't flicker. "I'm still in your head," he said, "even after all this time." I can hear the pity in his voice, the condescending tone. He wasn't afraid. He was disappointed. "Look at you," he said, "still pathetic." That was the crack, and everything I had compressed for years forced its way through. What unfolded next was not controlled, not measured. A scream, followed by a body being smashed against the wall. His wife tried to intervene. She moved without thinking. A ceramic mug lifted from the table and came down hard against the side of my head. It shattered on impact, and for a split second, everything blurred, instinct and rage colliding at once. I reacted before thinking. One swift movement, too much force. She collapsed on impact, and she didn't get up after that. And then there was complete silence. The room emptied itself of sound, until something smaller broke it. It was two of them, from the hallway, screaming out for their parents, eyes wide, taking everything in. Their father on the floor, conscious, but smaller than they'd ever seen him. Their mother on the floor, unnaturally still. The room rearranged by force. And for a second, just a split second, I saw myself in them. The fear, the helplessness, and something inside me twisted. I had finally gone back to where it all started, but I didn't erase it. I multiplied it. I realized something then. Transformation isn't clean. It doesn't end with balance. It spreads. I stepped towards the door slowly. No one tried to stop me. No one could. That's when it finally made sense. Power isn't about being stronger. It's about being permanent. It's knowing you exist in someone else long after you've left the room. He had been there for years, behind every insecurity I tried to bury. behind every hesitation before I spoke. He was there the first time I picked up a weight, behind every lift, behind every rep, behind every strained breath under iron, not as motivation, but as proof. Proof of what I had been, proof of what I refused to be again. It wasn't discipline, it was him, his voice in my head, his hand under my chin in the mirror, his shadow stretching across years of my life. He didn't have to try. He just existed in me. That was power. And tonight, I make sure to return the favor because I know I will be remembered long after they stop crying.